You ever wonder why the Obama administration has been silent, absolutely mum, on green energy lately? Well, maybe it's because oil and natural gas production here in the U.S. is having a major impact on our economy. According to a new report by the IHS, the boom is creating more jobs and more spending for more families. With more on this, Robert Bryce, Senior Fellow at the Manhattan Institute. Robert, welcome back to the show. You know what?
Hi, Jerry.
These numbers are terrific. Look at this. So, domestic energy production explosion supports 2.1 million jobs. Households have gained $1,200 in income last year because of this. What do you say?
It's remarkable, Jerry. It really is, and it supports what the oil and gas industry has been saying for a long time. If you look at the IHS report, Jerry, look at what they're talking about in terms of GDP alone. They're talking about $300 billion in additional GDP just from the shale oil and shale gas. This is about a 2% addition to U.S. GDP, $300 billion, 2.1 million jobs. You know, it's interesting, Jerry, to compare this to what the wind energy sector was talking about last year. Remember the production tax credit extension? They were saying, oh, this is going to save, what was it, 54,000 jobs, but they needed a tax code change. Here's the oil and gas sector with no tax code changes, adding 40 times as many jobs as the wind energy sector. It's remarkable.
That's fascinating. That is very interesting. Here's what I like. You talk about GDP growing. That's great. That's terrific. I love that.
Sure.
But savings for families. $800 lower prices for natural gas heating and cooling. So your HVAC bill down $800, $100 to $150 lower electricity rates. So we're saving about, well, $1,000 a year heating and cooling our houses on electricity, and all because of this. This is a good thing. This is saving people money.
With virtually no governmental intervention, Jerry. And look at what this is meaning, not just in the consumer effects are great, but let's look at the manufacturing base. This is stimulating manufacturing. The knock-on effects of cheap shale gas and now a flood of oil coming into the market from shale, it's having this huge effect on the manufacturing business. Look at the French company Vallourec, just started a new steel plant in Youngstown, Ohio, in the heart of the Rust Belt. Orascom, an Egyptian company, building a $1.8 billion fertilizer plant in Iowa. These are foreign companies putting huge investments in the U.S. because of cheap energy.
But are American companies doing the same kinds of investment?
Sure, absolutely. Look at what's happening in refining. Look at Nucor Steel. About 2 years ago, I talked to Dan D'Amico. He's the CEO of Nucor. He said the entire U.S. manufacturing base could be changed if we embrace what's happening in shale gas, and it's happening. Nucor's building a new steel plant in St. James Parish, Indiana. They're going to create about 1,000 new jobs there. This is it's a game changer.
It's a game changer, and I like what you say about ripple effects, because this has effects that go on and on. It's like dominoes falling throughout the economy. Some more numbers here. Number of jobs, 3.2 million. Disposable income, additional $2,700 extra per family. And what's interesting about this, of course, that we're not even talking about here, Robert, you know, this isn't like being a barista at Starbucks. This isn't like working at McDonald's. These are drilling jobs, transport, These are good, high-paying jobs. Exactly what we're looking for.
Absolutely, and it's broad-based, Jerry. You're seeing the knock-on effects in the hospitality industry, in fast food, in the tire industry, engine manufacturing, getting a big boost because of natural gas now being used in the transportation sector. Huge boom in natural gas vehicles that are allowing lower-cost trucking, railroads, sand, mining in general, all kinds of steel. I mentioned steel, fertilizers, petrochemicals, the petrochemical industry, the refining industry. All of these are benefiting from this. I got
to give you the downside here, though, Robert. I know what our green meanies are going to be saying about this study. Hey, it was bankrolled by the energy industry. So aren't these numbers suspect in some way?
Well, of course, that's going to be the response from the Sierra Club and Greenpeace and their fellow travelers. That's always their objection. But look at what the administration, I think it's interesting to see what Obama has been saying and what the new Secretary of Energy, Ernie Moniz, is saying. Look, they get it. They're not going to back away from the oil and gas industry now. They realize how important this is to the U.S. economy. So I think they're going to, as usual, bash the industry. But this is a remarkably Well, yeah, but this is remarkably positive news for the economy as a whole.
I got to ask you about one more thing here. U.S. companies in today's Wall Street Journal quoted as saying, these are companies in the energy industry, it doesn't matter if we get the pipeline from Canada or not. We're turning our backs on this. What do you say?
Well, look, I'm in favor of building Keystone XL, but I wrote a piece that was published in Slate in February, which I said, look, now it doesn't really matter. Why? Because the railroads are stepping into the breach. The oil and gas, the oil companies that are producing this oil, the refiners that need it, aren't going to sit around and wait for John Kerry and the State Department to finally decide this. Look at what's happening in Canada. They're already building rail terminals capable of holding or carrying about 500,000 barrels of oil a day. Keystone was designed to carry 800,000. By the time the pipeline gets built, it might not even be needed, Jerry.
Wow. Wow. That's, the private sector steps in. You hesitate for a moment. The government can't get it done. The private sector makes it happen. Robert, thanks for coming in tonight. Always so good to see you. Thank you.
Thanks a million, Jerry.